Welcome into another edition of Beyond Hiawatha as we continue to celebrate what the Lord has done and continues to do and what we pray He will continue to do. I am so excited to have in my studio Leo Robinson, who is a beloved Hiawatha figure. In fact, Leo, you came in uniform today. You've got your Hiawatha shirt on.
Sponsored by Hiawatha, you know.
Is that your NIL deal?
That's all I get. Yeah, that's all that's in the budget right now.
We start small.
Yeah, it's all right.
We'll get you a water slide run at some point. I know you really want that.
Oh yeah, me and Craig are going to do that together.
When did you first hear of this place called Hiawatha? Who brought it to your mind?
It was from Mary, and she was asking about me being a speaker, potential speaker. And I think she had heard about me from another camp that I had done before. And I was at that time like, sure, I'll do this. And I hadn't heard of Hiawatha
You
at the
didn't
time.
know where it was.
Had no idea. Had never been to the UP in that moment. So I'm be honest, I was more curious about going to the UP for just the adventure of it and the opportunity to go with my family. And that was kind of just the most curious part about the opportunity instead of the camp. I wasn't big on camps because I had some previous kind of bad experiences, but just going to the UP, had never gone before. This was an opportunity that kind of intrigued me. So Mary was the kind of the point person.
Yeah, and do you remember then, as you're making that first drive and you're getting more and more remote, and now you're hitting dirt roads, and it probably looks like you're maybe lost. Do you remember your feeling when you finally arrived and what that was like?
I can tell you before the remote part. I can tell you the bridge.
Yeah, was that terrifying?
It was more than terrifying. I am. My family would tell you I'm adventurous. I love heights. I'll go on any roller coaster, you name it, whatever. But I am afraid of bridges. I don't know why. There's nothing traumatic that's happened, but going over the Mackinac Bridge was my first time doing that.
Yeah.
We have pictures of that, us going over that. It was traumatic for me in that moment. I almost wish that my wife was driving in that moment. Like, I'm like approaching it. I'm like, yes, I can do this. But like, I didn't know it had grates on one side of it.
Yeah.
So when we get on it, I'm on the solid side of it. But then for some reason, there's construction on the solid side, and then they tell you to go on, and I freak out.
You're sliding a little bit.
Right, like, I cannot believe it, and I'm like, there is no way we're gonna make it alive. So, with your question about remote and all that, that's what I remember about that first journey. Is like, man, this camp better be special. Because
I risked my life.
I risked my life, and I'm thinking like, I am not coming back.
Yeah.
We're going to set up potential home at this camp because I am not coming back.
You have to go back through the UP, through Wisconsin.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. Like, or we're going to pay like a ferry or something to come back. But that's what I started to believe. But then getting closer, I remember losing like cell phone signal and things like that. And the last thing I remember about that first trip, my kids getting excited. Like they get excited because we're arriving late in the evening, and they're excited, and they're just like, whoa, like it's super dark. And I just remember that moment of knowing that this is going to be an interesting moment for our family, not just for me.
Yeah,
So,
kids embrace adventure. Parents are terrified with death grip on the steering wheel going over the bridge, right? That's the different attitude.
Yeah.
I can recall so many years of you speaking at camp and just delivering such powerful impact. Can you, for people who haven't really had the chance to spend time with you, can you kind of trace back a little bit of your journey to becoming a speaker and a pastor of a church in Flint, Michigan? And I know you come by it from a family lineage standpoint, but somewhere along the way, it was implanted in you that you're going to be preaching the gospel with your life. When did that kick in?
Yeah, my dad was a pastor, and his brothers were pastors as well down in Louisiana. And all I have to say is, I did not want to be a pastor or a preacher. I felt like my dad was wonderful at what he was doing, but I tell people all the time, I felt like I was born on a pew somewhere. That's all I've known. So I really was kind of running away from kind of ministry. But in my moments of it, as I started to go through Grand Valley and then Central Michigan at the time, I saw individuals my age start to really live out this Christ life. And I believe in my life, I also started, God kind of put it on my heart, is kind of filling in this gap of how I was seeing my dad live out his life, and then how can it bridge to people my age of what he was talking about from that stage, and then how I was seeing it lived out on a college campus. And then I became a youth pastor at my dad's church. And my moment of that experience was, my dad is in the middle of the north side of Flint with a smaller congregation, older individuals, and then I feel like I'm called to start this youth ministry type moment. My mom throws us into this kind of fiery, like, hey, there's some teens down there you need to talk to. I don't know anything about it. I just know I need to talk to them. This new moment I have in my heart. Like, there's something I need to say. And there's about 5 or 6 of them down there. And they're unchurched. And I go down there just telling them what's in my heart. And it comes naturally. And they all seem to feel like I'm connecting to them personally. That goes on as I'm coming back from Central Michigan every weekend to talk to them, traveling back and forth. That's how excited me and my girlfriend at the time, who later becomes my wife, she starts to know the Lord as well. We come back and forth to just try to give these young people the gospel. We get married right after college, and we jump right into these individuals. Now it's probably about 15, 16 of them. And then shortly after that, one of these young people, his name is Erico, starts to invite pretty much his entire school with him.
Wow.
And so there's this guy named Leo who seems to have this kind of moment of talking to us like we're on his level and breaking the scriptures down that we can understand it. And so I didn't know this, but I'm working a full-time job. I come there, and there's a basement full of young people who are, I say this all the time, that they look scary. There's tattoos on their faces. I found out the bus had ran a couple times that night, and I'm not prepared. Like most youth pastors are prepared with curriculum and things like that. I had just been going out there just sharing some of my crazy college stories. Like, hey, there's this drunk guy, I gotta talk to him, or blah, blah, blah. Just random things. And these kids seem to love it. But this particular Wednesday, that the bus driver said, hey, I ran a couple times, it's full down there. I go down there, it's about 50, 60 kids down there. And I'm like, whoa, God is doing something special. And then that's when I feel like the Lord is really doing something new in my life, and he's stretching me. So all that to say is, that's where I feel like I started to have to kind of sharpen my presentation skills, and I do more of that. And that's where all of that started to grow. I had to kind of control this unchurched, uncharted territory with these young people. And a lot of them have never heard the gospel. So I had to utilize kind of the getting their attention moments, kind of reaching out to them, talking about stories, life application. What does David and Goliath really look like in that moment to them, instead of just breaking it down theologically to them. So I say all that, that's where that grew in that basement. And that's where it kind of applies to right now being a church planner. Now in 2020, where it all started for me in Good Church, God just grew that from the basement to now being a church planner to 2020. It's that same mentality, just the heart of just being led by the Lord And I'll be honest, it's the same mentality of people that come to our church, unchurched backgrounds. They're a little older. More of our population is the young adults. And they are far from the Lord, detached from the church, maybe hurt by the church, and they just need to see this gospel being applied to daily life. And that's where we're at right now. So,
and there's this unique, I think, context to where Good Church is located. I know a little bit about Flint, and maybe some of those who are watching or listening to us have their preconceived notions about Flint. Flint's a rough place, and there are sections of Flint where historically, if you were to call for help from the police, they're going to tell you, we're not coming. We're not coming to that area. And you're not, Good Church isn't too far from that area, right?
right.
So it's a very rough place, which makes it even more amazing to me that not only is Leo a beloved speaker at Hiawatha, but for the past several years, you have brought kids from that neighborhood to Hiawatha.
Yeah.
And some of them got to make their first trip across the bridge, and in the last few years, they've made their journey over to the Roscommon area, and we're so excited to see what comes next at our new location over there in Allegan. But I'd love to hear from you about some of the impact that you've seen in the lives of the kids you bring from the neighborhood to experience something they're unlikely to have ever experienced otherwise, and that is a week at camp where people are loving on them, reminding them that they matter, that they have a purpose, that God has called them, and even though they may be returning back to a very difficult situation, what have those weeks at Hiawatha meant to your kids?
Oh, that's a loaded question, Bill.
Yeah.
So I talked about our population mostly on Sundays are young adults. So my heart has always been youth as well too, and so when we planted the church in 2020, we found out on Sundays we have a bunch of young adults and some senior adults and things like that are coming there. But what you still don't have is teenagers that are coming on Sundays. So Thursdays, traditionally you may have a Wednesday or something like that, or a Sunday night program for a youth program in traditional churches. Traditional churches may bring their families with them, teenagers. There's a nuclear family that may come on a Sunday, and then they traditionally have a youth program for the kids. We don't have that, because if you have a family that has been introduced to the gospel, all that family has been introduced, and then we'll share the gospel around the table and all of that. We don't have that in that church. So we've had to kind of break that, what this traditional gospel looks like, and how do we spread it to our community in this non-traditional way. And so on Thursdays, some people call it outreach. We don't do that. Thursdays is for an entire service built around bringing in our community teenagers. Most of their parents don't come to church or go to any other church, because pretty much 79% of our 3-mile radius are unchurched of our community. So all that to say is, when we Thursday nights, we bring in about 79, 80 teenagers. We have food for them. That's their love language. We have games, and then we also give them message. And then the last thing we also do is break out into like small groups for them, and break out into the moments where they're now talking to what we may seem like as counselors or mentors and things like that. I say that to say is our kind of climactic moment is Hiawatha. It's another onboarding moment into like how big is the church, the Big C church. Like, it's not just us that cares for you. You talked about it. How big is this moment that, it's cool that they can, moments like our city, they don't know if they can trust water. They don't know if they can trust the police. They don't know if they can trust government. So now that you have these strangers that's trusting them everything, they can trust now Thursdays. Okay, that's awesome. But now we get to onboard them to this moment inside of this camp experience where they get to trust a Bill or Craig or now this entire Hiawatha staff that may not look like them, that may not have hair like them. And
How big of a deal is that, by the way?
it's huge.
When we're coming into racial differences.
Oh, it's huge.
And not only racial, but just contextual and family and societal differences from an eco-socioeconomic standpoint.
It's all angles.
It's a whole new world.
It's a whole new world. And I'm be honest, it impacts both Hiawatha staff
Yes.
and the teenagers from Flint.
Totally
like you
agree.
see a collision of life. So to say that it's just one-sided, that it's just Hiawatha staff is teaching teens to do something. No, I think there's a mutual thing that's happening. It's a kingdom experience that's happening on
That's
that
beautiful.
campground. Yeah,
That's beautiful.
I think that God has put this together to show, like, wait a minute, I didn't know these young people go through this. I didn't know that, like, man, some of these kids have gone without food, and like I didn't know safety was a concern every single night, like you were talking about. Like you go to Hiawatha when we're going across the bridge, or even in Roscommon, those campgrounds can be so silent.
Yeah.
And that can bring up this kind of anxiety moment for them.
These kids aren't used to silence.
They're not used to silence on that level. They're used to chaos. They're used to man, things going on all the time. So when they hear silence, in their minds, they think that, wait a minute, something's about to happen, or what has just happened. So when they're hearing moments like that, like, wait a minute, they have to trust, like, oh no, this is good. Silence is okay. Like, this is a moment that Psalms 23 tells us. Like, this is a peaceful moment. Like, David is preparing you in Psalms 23. Like, this, you should be able to lie in green pastures and get a moment of peace. And so, you've never heard this? It shouldn't build anxiety. It actually should give you peace. And so, I say that is because Hiawatha brings that moment for our young people. And this is a moment that they get to see another heightened level of experience with the Lord. We get to, it's not just about fun, games, the lake. They get to see God's nature that they've never seen before. They get to experience things that they never experienced inside the city. It's one of those things that, you can talk about, you can read about, they can see on TV. But again, it's one of those things that they have to be able to see like face to face, and be able to touch and feel, and they get the experience with friends from the same environment. It's not just, hey, I get to experience it from somebody who's been there 100 times before. No, I get to experience it with someone that's never done this also with me, and we get to have the same moments. And it's a cool moment to see that. And I'll say this too, some of the adults that go with them, because we bring our team up there with them, some of them have never experienced that also. So you get to see some of the young adults that are part of our team experience some of these moments with the teens also. And it's pretty sweet to see that.
Well, let me draw a connection. You tell me if I'm accurate or if I'm missing the point entirely. For a number of these young people, and I understand there are always exceptions to the rule, but for a number of them, finding out that there was a church in their neighborhood that cared for them was a big deal. They didn't know that, right? So they discovered that, they've connected. But then taking that ring of influence out one more ring away, to discover that there's this big C church of people that they've never even heard of, let alone met.
Right.
And finding out that they care for them, that they want to see God's very best for them, is probably a concept that's so hard to wrap your head around. It might even take a couple of summers at camp to understand, oh, this is for real. This guy remembered my name. My counselor's still there. I got to, my team captain and co-captain were still there, and they came up to me and they said, hey, how you, right? Because they were remembered, which they're not used to being remembered.
Right.
Is that accurate?
I'll say yes and no.
Okay.
And the reason why I say yes and no, because you would think some people who have had their trust broken so many times would have a hard time trusting so quickly.
Yeah.
Some of these, especially, I've seen it with the young ladies, some of them by the end of the week have bonded so quickly with the young ladies who have been their cabin leaders from Hiawatha, it doesn't take another time.
Interesting.
Like, because they have never felt safe in another that safe in another moment like that before. So because they are so out of their element, I'm about to almost cry, that you would think from a logical mind that I need to be in this moment, repetitive. I need to be here often. No, but we've created such a safe space at Hiawatha. You guys have that. I've trusted you with the moment of worship. I've trusted you with something because I've never worshiped twice in multiple times. I never trusted someone to keep feeding me like this. I've never trusted somebody to go down these slides in an open lake that I've never been in something like this. I've never trusted these moments in the cabin like this. I've never trusted a cabin. So this immersion of a moment of like this, 3 and 4 days like this, I'm bonded to this person like a Mary or Sarah, whoever it is. That person has now become one of my top 3 trusted individuals because I've shared something I've never shared before. It doesn't take a multiple times to come back up here. I will remember this person the rest of my life. And we've heard testimonies like that. So yes, it may take multiple visits, but I've seen it where with just one moment, one visit will make an impact for a lifetime because of the safety and the experience of that. So yeah.
Yeah, and so as you and your I call her your much better half, Mio.
Oh yes, yeah.
As you guys go through the very difficult journey every year of inviting kids, making sure that the parents in their lives know that this is a good idea, it's a safe idea, and then it comes down to bus departure day and you're wondering where these 3 kids are. You got to chase them down and go through all of this. It's hard work to get these kids on the bus and get them to camp. Once they're at camp, it's probably a little less work than it was to get them to camp.
Oh, big time.
What do you want people who help provide scholarship funds to know about their role in the impact on these kids' lives? You guys are doing the very hard work on the ground, and there are some people who will be taking in our conversation who have, over the last several years, have kind of helped underwrite some of that, right? And maybe they don't know if it's really on the other end, if it's making the direct impact that they hoped it would. Is it all worth it? I guess that's the long-winded way of saying, is it all worth it?
I'll say this, nothing is wasted on a kid that goes from Flint. I have never seen it wasted on a kid that has gone to Flint, to a point that last year when we were leaving, a grandmother, this is a true story, a grandmother heard that we were going. And I'll tell you the reason why. A grandmother heard that our group was going and literally snuck her grandson into our group to go. And we
like at the church?
The church, like snuck her grandson into the and this is gonna sound bad. This is because of all the chaos that goes on, and people are not gonna understand the chaos because we go into trying to make sure these kids are going, and it's so. Some of these kids come from, they're living with their auntie, living with grandma one day. Their phones are cut off. Like, you're trying to make sure they signed up 2 months before, and you cannot find out where they've been. Like, you do your best. It is chaotic just trying to keep. They're in one school 2 months ago, and they're at another school the next 2. Like, you're trying to find it. I say all that because all the way up to the day before, you're trying to find out, where's this kid? They signed up. We don't know where they're at. But this individual got on the bus, and we thought person A knew who they were, person B knew who they were. We had a form filled out and had the mother on there, and we got all the way up to the actual camp, and Tamara actually pointed it out. And we have beds for everybody on the list, and we are one over. And we're like, wait a minute, how are we won over? And it's because we find out that a grandmother has snuck her grandson on the
Because
list
she so desperately wanted him to have this week.
this week. And the reason why, and we find out, is because she says she doesn't want anything to happen to him during the summer. Like, she saw that what was going on, friend had told him, and that what was going on, and her neighbor was going, and she just drove up, filled out a form that we had, and just told him to go, and they'll do something with you there. I say all that to say, because every time we've gone, throughout the week that we've been there, a kid in one of the neighborhoods where our kids have been killed. So nothing's wasted on our kids.
Every time.
Every single time. And we have been there, I believe, 5 years in Hiawatha, maybe 6. Every year we've gone to Hiawatha, a kid has been killed in one of the neighborhoods where we've taken our kids from.
My goodness.
So we've gotten a call while we were up to Hiawatha and had to do some type of counseling where to some of the kids while at Hiawatha, hey, your friend, a friend, or whatever has been shot and killed. So nothing's wasted on our kids. We always look and say, that could have been you. That could have been something you were involved in. But we know that the week that we're keeping them there is a week away from some drama that they could have been a part of. Because it's a busy time for Satan in Flint. While other kids may be in suburban or other areas, maybe going on vacations with families and things like that, we know our kids are just hanging around, not doing much. So our time is really kind of the busy time of where we are actively trying to find things for them to do. We put on hiring them for groundskeeping, things like that around our church and in the community. But taking them to Hiawatha, we try to find out. And when I talk to Craig, the very first question, you can always ask him, how many spots do we have available? And we try to fill as many as we can in that moment. Yeah. So nothing is wasted on our kids.
I know that all of that continually breaks your heart. Not the part about being at Hiawatha, but what happens back home, during the summertime. And I've heard you speak about that to young people, and I've heard you be very passionate in trying to drive home to them this reality that they are targeted by the adversary who wants to take them out, right? Yeah. How have you seen that message take hold? Are kids getting it? Are they understanding this reality?
Just like all of us, Bill. We live in, we have choices we make.
Yeah.
Some get it and some don't. The adversary is sneaky. There's desires of our flesh that seem better than what God gives us and that He presents to us. So as passionately as I can speak or have others have been put in front of them, try to let them know that the adversary is presenting a false presentation to them. He's giving them this lie. He's sneaking he wants to steal, kill, and destroy, but he's offering this false apple to them, this false fruit. God is there to give them this life, this abundant life. They're going to still go after this false fruit, a lot of them. And so we see it all the time. And our prayer is that after they may take this false bite of something that they feel is right, that they'll receive a moment of, man, this is just a slap on the wrist, that they'll have some redemption moment, that they don't get shot or killed, or they'll just maybe get a jail slap on the hand, or something that's light, that it's not a moment that they reach the grave before it's too like it's a grave moment that is early. That's our heart, and that's why we passionately seek after them. I've always used a moment of like, you're drowning and we're trying our best to swim to you, but you have to reach out to us as well too. That's where we're at. Like, it's a choice for all of us, but we do that as adults.
Yeah, it's true.
No matter if we're rich, we're poor, black, white, Asian, doesn't matter. Yeah. We all have choices we need to make, and the enemy is cunning. He is. Yeah. And so these young people, they live in some harsh moments, but at the end of the day, some of their moments, they feel like they have to make some desperate decisions in desperate times, and they don't. God is right there waiting on. Jesus is giving them the answer. He's giving them grace, but sometimes they just go after things that they see, they think is working for people that are around them, and it's not really. It's a lie.
You, as a speaker, have journeyed with us at Hiawatha for the past several years, so you don't have to cross the bridge anymore.
Yes, thank
And
God. I mean, not thank God.
well, I know,
but
I
you
hear
know
you.
what I mean.
Yeah, the fear factor.
Right.
And as we make our way over to Allegan for our new location that miraculously has been provided for us, I don't think there's any doubt that that's the best description for it.
Yeah.
And
It's a miracle.
how excited are you to have your kids discover, that place, that side of the state, and the continuation of ministry as we look forward to 2026?
Yeah. I think I hate to say it, but it's been part of the cool journey with us and Hiawatha. Is because we can always say, we're going to Hiawatha, but it's at a new location.
Right.
And I think that's what they look forward to, is that same faces, but it's a new location.
Yeah.
And in their life, this is what they're adjusting to. They know how to adjust. That's the reality of their life. Some people are so robotic that they don't know how, like, I have to go here and I have to go this route.
That's how many of us were.
I know, like we have to go this route to Kroger, or we have to go this route to the school, or we have, and so we don't know how to get used to change. Yeah. Like, we are so structured. These young people, they know, like, they are so like, okay, they're excited about it. It's on new grounds. Right. Let's do it. What does the lake look like? That they are like, that gets them pumped up to, like, is there a slide? What is this? What is that? Like, I think for some of the individuals that have gone before, that gets them more sparked up to say, I want to go back now because I want to experience something new. Yeah. So I think that's where they're getting more excited about it. So that's, to them, it's not it gives more energy, more vibrancy for us now that we're kind of circling back for some of the older individuals who have accepted the Lord, which is amazing. They now get to why we're called, part of our thing is 181. A lot of them have made this 180-degree turn, and now they're bringing a friend along with them, plus one. That's why we call it the 181 teen movement. And so they're now excited about, like, hey, I was here when we first started coming to Hiawatha. We used to go over the bridge, but I've never gone to this place.
Right.
So it's a new experience for them. So now you get to be a leader, but you're becoming also a fresh leader in a new place. So you get to experience this new, but kind of this old mentality as well too. Like, this is some of the similar faces, but you get to experience this new too. So I think it's a combination of all of that as well.
I remember talking to a young man who had been to the Upper Peninsula, and when we were getting ready to move to the Roscommon location, I said to him, so I don't know if you knew this, but we have a new address, we're moving around, and does that make you nervous, or do you care? Are you less likely to come to camp? And he said, still have trees? Yeah. Still have some water? Right. Yeah. I'm good. And I was like, oh yeah, kids get in the car, they go to sleep, and they wake up at the place where mom dropping them off. That's or whoever's bringing them. So they're very flexible in that sense, probably more so than us old people with our entrenched habits, right? Let me wrap up our time together and kind of ask you a kind of a strange question, but how different do you think Leo and Mio Robinson's lives would be if that call had never come years ago from Mary Fix and you'd never heard of a place called Hiawatha?
I probably would have more hair.
Me too.
I'll probably have more hair, less gray in my beard. No, that's a great question. If I would have never received that call, man, I don't know. I'll go back to, oh, I got crying in this interview. What kind of is this? Dr. Bill moment.
Bill, right.
Like, my kids literally grew up on Hiawatha grounds.
Yeah.
So to say a city boy has kids that grew up on a campground is weird. I never had that growing up. So my kids wouldn't have the stories they have. So my life personally wouldn't be the same. Yeah, just personally, me and my wife wouldn't be able to share family time the same way with our own personal kids. And then seeing lives change with our leaders who had to spend 4 or 5 days with kids in a camp, like that builds resiliency. And that's different than having 1 day a week in a church. Like you have to smell socks and you have to see people cry and you have the ups and downs, and teenagers, especially that come with traumatic backgrounds, you have to, like the trauma comes out in 4 or 5 days. We've had long talks with our team. So I say all that is because we've seen a lot. Our lives as leaders and pastors, it wouldn't be the same. I wouldn't be a pastor. I wouldn't be a good pastor without Hiawatha in my life. It has trained me. I wouldn't be a good husband. I wouldn't be a good father. I don't see that. A lot of my story has Hiawatha wrapped inside of it. So it wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
I can't, and I'm not over exaggerating. I'm not saying it's because I'm on a podcast right now or whatever. I'm just saying it's intertwined inside of my story. So I can't say, I don't know how we would exist without it because it's so intertwined with it.
I'm going to give you a memory that I have from the first time that Leo and Mio came to Hiawatha to be speakers, had the family with you. And it was right around dinner time. And the staff was looking for you. They're like, where, because the speaker, you guys were staying at a cabin a few hundred yards off of the grounds because it was rented to be able to house your whole family. And
that's when I was treated like VIP back in the day.
and we said, nobody knows where they are. So somebody found out that you guys had gone to Sault Ste. Marie to buy groceries to feed yourselves for the week. And we had never fathomed the possibility that a camp hadn't fed the speaker and his family, but you had come from some places where you were kind of completely on your own, except for when it was time to go hold a microphone and speak to them. And we love you guys and all of our speakers, and we couldn't wrap our heads around the fact that there were other places that just treated you like, get up there and do your thing, and then we'll see you again tomorrow.
Telling you.
So we're gathering in the evenings and we're doing all these things. And to this day, your whole family is interspersed with Hiawatha families. You probably text them all during the week and you have friendships. We cannot, if you asked me the same question, how different would Hiawatha be had you never met the Robinsons? I would say extremely different and the worse for it. So we love you guys. We're so glad you're part of the family. And whenever you come to Hiawatha, you don't have to go buy groceries.
Oh man, I appreciate that.
Which you knew. Right,
yeah. But that's why I said it's been some bad experiences at camp, and we didn't know there was a table for us. We didn't know there was a place for us. We had prepared even a small budget for ourselves in that moment.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Even Billy Walker's, just understanding that moment that before he passed, and hearing some of the just good moments I had to share with him when I first spoke there, I still cherish that. And I'm like, this is a part of the legacy that I am I'm a part of. So it's deeply rooted in my heart, and I will forever be changed because of these moments with Hiawatha.
Well, we launched this podcast as a way of celebrating that legacy, and can't imagine doing this without having you as a guest at some point, and we'll certainly do it again. Next time we'll probably just have Mio in though. She's
well worth it. Yeah.
Thanks so much, buddy.
I appreciate you. Yeah.